Austin turns everyday current problems into something we can laugh about every Thursday. Thank you, Austin.
Austin turns everyday problems into laughs every Thursday. Let the comedy begin.
We've been divided, labeled, separated. Black, white, red, blue. But at the end of the day, we all still standing on the same ground. We've been divided, labeled, separated. Black, white, red, blue. But at the end of the day, we all still standing on the same ground. And if we're moving toward unity, there can only be one. You feel it in the air now. Something's gotta change. Too much noise, too much pain. Too many people feeling left behind. While we arguing, losing time. Grandmother's worried, bills on the table. Grandfather's working while they still able. Neighbors hurting, but we don't see. Too busy fighting what we should be. And I know we're better than this. We forgot what togetherness is. But right now, we can't choose. We're together or we all lose. Moving toward unity.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Ooh, I'm excited about today's podcast. We don't have guests, but we have the experts in clips talking about what's going on and what they think about it. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Monet Swan, and this is Secure 65 Health Plans Live. So let's go, you guys. Okay, so for a second, I want everybody just to kind of sit back and take it all in, okay? There's a lot going on. Conversations about war, conversations about money, healthcare, food prices, gas, Social Security, immigration, military, and messages coming from all directions, all at the same time. And it's not always clear what matters, what doesn't, what's real, and what's it all about. And actually, what does it mean for you sitting at home trying to make sense of your everyday life? So today, we're not arguing sides. We're not telling you what to believe. And this is not about politics. This is about taking a closer look at what's being said, what is being done, what is being said about today, tomorrow, and forever. Because whether we like it or not, these conversations don't just stay on the news. They show up in your grocery bills. They show up at the gas pump. They show up in your prescriptions. They show up in your peace of mind, mentally, economically, spiritually, and financially. This moment we're in is touching us all in a different way. Now, we're doing something a little different today. we're going to be taking real-time clips from actual news and bringing them into this conversation. And I want you guys to be part of this with me. Feel free to express yourself in the comments, okay? Tell me if you like what's being said. Tell me if you don't like it. Tell me if you believe it. Tell me if you don't. Tell me why. Tell me where you're watching from, because I want to know how this is showing up for you. So we're going to walk through this together, piece by piece, and talk about what it could mean for you. There's no fear, no pressure, just understanding, all right? So let's look at what's really going on right now. Okay, you guys, so this first clip shows how the war in Iran and disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz are hitting us right here at home, driving up gas and food prices and the overall cost of living. Let's watch now.
As we have reported, the war with Iran is disrupting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a key global route for oil. That is driving up the cost of diesel, the fuel that powers the trucks and refrigeration systems that move food across the country.
As those costs rise, experts say they're often passed along to us, the consumers, as they push grocery prices higher. And now we're seeing it hit online shopping as well. Amazon announcing a new fuel and logistics surcharge on third-party sellers as shipping costs climb.
Everyone is feeling it. No one is immune. Grocery prices, as we know, have gone up about 3% in the past year. Really, this started because of tariffs. And now you add in the war with Iran, and that is increasing prices as well. And it's not just families that are navigating higher grocery bills, but organizations that work to alleviate food insecurity. They are also now finding themselves in a tricky spot.
Okay, you guys, the war with Iran is already driving up grocery prices, gas prices, and the cost of everyday goods, even online shopping. And yes, even companies like Amazon sellers are starting to feel it with the added surcharges. We're already seeing a 1% to 3% increase in some food prices, and experts are warning it could keep rising as supply chains get hit. And gas, that's already jumped significantly because of disruptions in oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz. So I want to ask you, are you feeling it yet? At the grocery store? At the pump? When you check out online? How has this affected you? And I want you to be honest. Drop it in the comments because people need to hear real stories, not head. This is crazy.
Loaded off and onto trucks. The food here is headed to pantries to help feed New Yorkers who are food insecure. But right now, this lifeline of an organization is feeling the sting of the war in Iran.
We've been up since like the first week of February, about 35% in our costs.
35% more to cover the cost of diesel for the Food Bank of New York's fleet of 39 trucks. Diesel not just to drive, but for refrigeration, ensuring the food stays fresh. And diesel prices are up because tankers can't pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a geopolitical issue a world away, but impacting the heart of the Bronx.
All those costs that are going to increase, whether it's transportation, fuel, they're going to pack it into the food prices. And then our community, our neighbors, so if they weren't able to get food before at their local supermarkets, now the impact is greater.
Barley, they're giving me.
Laura says she's becoming increasingly dependent on free food.
Everything is expensive. Everything. Yeah, the fruit, everything, mommy.
Eggs, I won't complain, I buy them. But the bread went up, sliced bread, everything, the fruits, forget it. I cannot buy fruits.
A big thing of Tang, now that the summer's coming up. Last year it was $13.99. Go in the store right now, it's $18.99 for the big Tang. It's ridiculous.
How are you budgeting differently?
We're trickling down as well. Smaller portions to make it last.
With only a once-in-a-while treat for the grandkids.
Low-income households spend about a third or more of their income on groceries. Any increase in price is going to make more people at the lower income level more food insecure.
Professor Nevin Cohen is the director of the CUNY Urban Food Policy Institute and suspects higher food prices will stick around.
As we also learned from COVID, the impacts of supply shocks can last quite a long time.
I mentioned the Tang. That's going to stay like that. They're not going to bring it down. They're going to keep it like, even if the gas prices go back down, they're going to keep it like that. So that's where it hurts us, low income people.
And because Elizabeth Romano also expects food prices to stay elevated, she's strategizing on ways to ensure the food bank is well stocked.
What are the impacts that are coming? What foods can we purchase, right? So it's different buying, say, potatoes versus raspberries.
Hey, you guys, now you see why we're doing this? I'm serious. So for those of you who thought this was going to affect us, how do you feel now? Okay. I think it's going to even get crazier. The whole thing honestly breaks my heart to see people having to cut back on necessities, skipping fresh food, or paying more just to feed their families, all because of something happening far away in another country. Now, this story may be coming out in New York, but let me tell you, I want to hear from you where you live. Are you seeing higher prices? What foods are going up in your area? How much has the gas increased in your state? And you guys, talk to me. We want to be there to help you, because here's the reality. If food banks are starting to feel the pressure, they may not be able to keep up with the demand. And that's exactly why I'm bringing this to you, okay? This is not about doom and gloom. It's about getting prepared. And I know a lot of us don't watch the news, but this is the kind of information you need to stay aware of so you don't get caught off guard when your family needs something. So listen again, this is not about fear, okay? And it's definitely not about doom scrolling, because that's going to steal your joy, all right? This is about awareness. This is about planning. This is about being prepared if things continue to accelerate and escalate, okay? And remember, Collaborative Expansion Foundation is here for you, okay? We work with food banks, food pantries. So if you need help with food, with transportation, and you're a senior, just let us know. Our Walmart partnership is here to support families during challenging times. So if you're in Southern California and experiencing food insecurity, call 833-777-2555 or email us at info@Secure65 Health Plans, or go to the website www.collaborativefoundation.org. You are not alone, and that's why we have to stay connected and stay informed and take care of each other. Okay, now our next clip is dealing with prices in the stores and how the food load could be reduced by doing a little sharing with a neighbor.
Elizabeth is getting creative in what she is purchasing for the food bank. Families can do the same. We do have some tips for you. For starters, move away from eating meat and lean into beans for your protein. Beans are cheaper and also very healthy. If you can buy in bulk, do so. It's an easy way to save money. You can even buy meat in bulk and butcher it yourself. And if you don't have a big freezer, like most people in New York City, you can go in with a neighbor or relative and share the meat. And while everyone we spoke with is really avoiding buying fresh fruit, berries in particular, you can buy frozen. You still get the nutritional benefits and save about 50%. Some supermarkets are also offering 2-for-1 incentives. You can shop for those deals. And if you haven't already signed up for a rewards program at your local supermarket, you can do so, because those points can earn you savings in the future. These steps will save some precious dollars, and that adds up over time. And there's really no telling how long these gas prices will stay high,
continue to grow up,
and if those prices will roll back.
Right.
Exactly.
I love the idea of buying meat and then sharing it with a neighbor, or a relative to try to
Because you
split
could
the
go to a
cost
Costco or a big
easily.
box store and get a
Yeah.
hunk of beef, but you got to cut it up.
Really good ideas. Things like beans, which are actually very healthy for you, frozen fruit, and even sharing meat or bulk purchases with a friend or neighbor. This is the time to start thinking differently, you guys. Shop at places that sell in bulk, like Costco or Sam's Club, even grocery outlets. And don't be afraid to change your routine just a little bit. Try some new stores, connect with new people, build community. You might even come together and start something simple like, a neighborhood food sharing system, or even a small community food bank. Because when you put service to others first, you'd be surprised what comes back to you. Not just in resources, but in relationships, support, and strength. Now, let's shift for a moment, because there are communities already feeling this pressure in a very different and real way. We're going to talk about immigrants right here in Southern California who are no longer eligible for food assistance through CalFresh due to recent federal changes, and are now having to rely heavily on food banks just to get by.
Thousands of CalFresh recipients are set to lose their benefits. Today, new federal rules went into effect, making some non-citizens ineligible.
NBC4's McCullough Medina is live in Long Beach with how some are turning to food banks for help. Mac.
Yeah, we're talking about legal immigrants that are impacted, those people that have the CalFresh benefits right now. And many food banks are expecting a surge of those people because those benefits will go away. This is one of the groups that have been handing out food here today in Long Beach, the Help Me, Help You group. They had a long line here about half an hour ago when it first started. We did talk to some people impacted. They say these food banks are now the only way they can feed their family.
55.
Long lines at the We Help food distribution site over in Long Beach, where thousands of pounds of food are given out each week.
We serve everyone that needs food in the community. Anyone that comes and needs to eat, we serve them.
Starting today, new federal rules cut off fresh eligibility for many lawfully present immigrants, including asylum seekers, refugees, and some visa holders, and that includes a lot of children. The changes were passed as part of H.R. 1, the big beautiful bill, last July. Current recipients, however, will get to keep their benefits until recertification. Adrian Tejada, who actually has lived in the U.S. for 36 years, he's an undocumented immigrant, says it's not right to deny food to those that need it. He says work has dried up amid immigration enforcement, and many without assistance like him had food banks as their only lifeline. Araceli is in the same boat. No work for her also means no food for her family. She says limited resources will now be stretched even thinner with more people seeking help.
In LA County, we have an estimate of about 10,800 people that will be impacted by this policy change.
What are they going to eat? They're going to go through trash to eat?
Eliseo, a homeless U.S. citizen who is here at the food bank getting food, says he intends to share it with those that need it, even if they're undocumented. He says no one should go hungry regarding their immigration status.
This is a sensitive topic for a lot of Americans. And honestly, I don't know, and I don't fully understand why. Because when you really think about it, almost everyone I know is either an immigrant or comes from an immigrant family. Yeah, there are people here lawfully and people who aren't. There are refugees, asylum seekers. But at the end of the day, you guys, who are we to say someone shouldn't eat? We live in a country where we forgive people, give second chances, and even pardon people who have done serious harm. And yet, people who came here for a better life, something all of us would do if we had to, are the ones we struggle to show compassion to. Do you remember this? Give me your tired and your poor. Oh yeah, that's what we said at one time. And if you look at faith, feed my people, take care of one another. So what has changed? No, really. When did our hearts get so distant? When we have more, so much more than most people around the world. Because life is supposed to be about love, sharing, caring. And if we don't get back to that, we're going to face some very difficult times, not just politically, but as people. So that's what's happening right now with CalFresh. Real people, real families. When I think about the homeless man in there saying that he's going to share his food, I want you to do some real introspection. Look at yourself under the mirror and say, should I be doing this? Should I feel this way? If he can share his food, why couldn't you? Anyway, let's talk about another conversation that's happening at this very same time. A conversation about what we can afford and what we can't, about what gets prioritized and what doesn't. And you know what? You might be closer to going to the food bank than you know. In any case, I want you to watch this. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I want you to hear this for yourself.
So, he just said the other day, the government shouldn't be responsible for affordable child care.
That's what he said.
This is the same man who pretended that he's a family first president. They're asking for at least $200 billion. I heard today the number may be as high as $400 billion, $200 to $400 billion for this war. Meanwhile, they've cut Medicaid. Premium prices for health care have gone up. SNAP benefits, WIC. Everybody in this room knows what WIC stands for, women, infants, and children. SNAP benefits, which are intended and were created to feed hungry children, hungry seniors, people who have the right to expect that their government wants to alleviate their suffering.
So what you just heard is Kamala Harris raising a concern that the way people are being treated right now may not align with what many Americans expected, especially when it comes to seniors, families, childcare, and healthcare. But I don't want you to take my word, and I don't want you to take her word either. I want you to hear it directly from the president himself.
And I actually said to them, I said to Russell, don't send any money for daycare because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. Can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up. But it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country. But all these little things, all these little scams that have taken place, you have to let states take care of them, Russell, and you have to do it.
And seniors, I'm talking directly to you because this affects you first. How do you feel about what you're hearing? This is for you, seniors, because this directly impacts your future. So I have to ask you, do you feel confident right now? Do you think Medicare and Medicaid are going to be all right? I want you to listen to this next clip because a journalist raises some important points, some real food for thought. And after you hear it, I want to know, do you agree? What do you think is ahead for Medicare, Medicaid, WIC, and the American people? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
I'm going to touch Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Spending bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion. Right. Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. We're not going to touch it. Social Security won't be touched. Other than this fraud or something, we're going to find it's going to be strengthened. But won't be touched. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
But do we believe him? Can we believe him? Here's why I'm not so sure we can. First, his administration needs to make big cuts to fulfill Elon Musk's promise to trim 20% from the federal budget of $6.8 trillion, and to do that while also extending tax cuts for wealthy Americans. This administration doesn't seem to care about the American public or the government's public servants. You see that in the way that they have gutted federal departments and in the way that they fired hundreds of people with very little empathy about their plight. They seem to view Social Security as an excessive largesse rather than something that people have earned. And yes, I did say the word earned through all those deductions that have been coming out of your paycheck week after week. One thing is for sure, if Trump breaks his promise to protect Social Security, it will be devastating for Americans everywhere.
So let's talk about something that affects millions of Americans, Social Security. Now, I want to show you this clip because Elizabeth Warren has been speaking on this issue for years, especially when it comes to protecting seniors. And in this moment, she brings up some important points, not just about what Social Security is, but why it exists in the first place. And I think that's something we all need to understand, especially right now. But she doesn't stop there, you guys. She also talks about how Social Security is being discussed today, including concerns about cuts, and even raises questions about how powerful voices, both in government and outside of it, may be influencing the direction of programs like this. Now, she specifically mentions Elon Musk and raises questions about his influence in conversations around government spending and programs like Social Security. Now, those are her words, not mine. But whether you agree with her or not, this is part of the conversation happening now. And it's important that you hear it so you can decide for yourself if this is what's going on. So take a listen and let me know what you think in the comments below.
Security Administration, because you're a ranking member of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, and a member of the Senate Finance Committee. On Friday, you published an op-ed on Fox News about the Trump administration's gutting of the SSA, the Social Security Administration. So what has been done already to that administration, Elizabeth, that is a cause for concern?
I always start this conversation by saying, damn it, Social Security is not charity. It is something people earned all of their lives. Every single paycheck they earned from the time, for some folks, they were 14 years old. A piece of that paycheck has gone into Social Security on the understanding, the rock solid, no matter what, take it to the bank understanding that for sure, when the time comes that you have to rely on Social Security, it will be there for you as promised. And Donald Trump and Elon Musk have tried to get rid of that, and the way they've done it is they have tried shutting down Social Security offices so you can't go in for problems. For a while, they were trying to shut down the phones entirely so you couldn't call if you had a problem. And they are trying to fire allegedly about half of all the people who work at the Social Security Administration. And understand, Social Security Administration was already understaffed. These are good people who are trying to help folks who depend on their Social Security. And here is Elon Musk has been leading the charge on this. A man who makes $8 million a day just on his federal contracts with our government, $8 million a day. He's trying to cut benefits for people who on average make $65 a day. And why? So that they can grease the skids to give more tax handouts to billionaires and billionaire corporations and pay for it on the backs of seniors in their Social Security, little kids and public education, babies and healthcare, and promises we make to our veterans. That's the realignment they're trying to make happen in the United States of America.
Okay, guys, now it's your turn. You just heard Elizabeth Warren lay serious concerns out regarding who may be expected to pay for these changes. and who may benefit the most. So I want to hear from you. Do you agree with what she's saying? Do you think these concerns are valid? Do you feel like everyday people are being supported right now, or does it feel like something else is happening? Or do you see it completely differently? There's no right or wrong answer here, but this is a conversation we need to have. So drop your thoughts in the comments below. And now we're going to shift to healthcare because this is becoming an even bigger issue, especially right now with everything happening globally, costs rising, and pressure building on an everyday basis to families. Healthcare is starting to hit people in a very real way. And I want you to hear this next story. This is a couple sharing their experience, the difference between what they had under the ACA and where they are now with their healthcare after those tax credits were removed. This is real life. So take a listen.
Struck midnight, a new year began, and something critically important to many Americans ended. I'm talking about government subsidies to help pay health insurance premiums under the Affordable Care Act. Unless Congress acts, millions of people are facing big increases in their health care bills. Here's CBS's Nicole Skenga.
Brad Korb spent 30 years as an engineer for Boeing and never thought much about health care insurance. But when he retired in 2020, tax credits helped him afford a plan in the marketplace. Overnight, those credits expired.
We considered, should I just not even have health insurance?
Korb's policy will now triple from roughly $300 per month to nearly $1,000. He's one of roughly 22 million Americans who will see significant spikes in their out-of-pocket health care costs.
My wife and I had a big discussion about where are we going to get this money from.
You have to tap into your retirement savings now in order to cover your health care costs?
Absolutely. That's the only way to make it happen.
Last fall, a fight in Congress over the extension of Affordable Care Act credits led to a 43-day government shutdown. Lawmakers were unable to come up with an agreement before winter break.
Their holiday gift to the American people is to continue to try to block our ability to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
But for enrollees like Korb, health insurance coverage feels like an impossible choice.
I hope that Congress will decide that helping the average American is important. And right now, I don't feel like that's the case.
And a House vote to counter those increased costs is expected later this month, but the outcome remains uncertain. Until then, millions of Americans are beginning 2026 the way they ended 2025.
Well, you guys, we've talked about a lot today. We've touched on the heart, finances, health, and what all of this means for everyday people. And I want to close this podcast with something deeper, a message from the heart. Because in times like this, when there's war, when there's tension, and people are struggling, we also start to see something else rise: division, anger, and hatred. And we've seen how that can destroy lives, not just across the world, but right here at home. And for many families, there's another fear sitting in the background: the possibility of our young men and women being sent into battle. So in moments like this, I start to think about leadership and the voices guiding these decisions. And I want to ask you something. How do you feel about the recent conversation between the Pope and the President? On one side, you have a call for peace. On the other, a focus on military action. What do you think about that? Should religion and politics come together in times like this, or should they remain separate? There's no easy answer, but it is a conversation worth having. And before we close, I have one more question for you. It's a bonus question, and this is one about doctors, healers, and President Trump. So stay with me. Let's take a moment and watch this next video. And then I want to hear from you directly about President Trump and Pope Leo, and listen closely to their perspectives.
The war has increased tensions between President Trump and the Pope.
Pope Leo has regularly criticized the U.S.-Israeli actions in Iran, while the president has called the Pope, quote, weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. So our Amy Cho has more now on how members of the church are reacting to this tension back and forth.
This week, a growing feud between President Trump and Pope Leo over the war in Iran. The Holy Father pointing to the gospel as he calls for peace.
To remind all that attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred, the division, the destruction that the human being is capable of, and we all want to work for peace.
President Trump responded with a lengthy post on Truth Social, slamming the Pope as terrible for foreign policy.
I think he's very weak on crime and other things, so I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo. And, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope.
The chair of the Georgetown University Center on Faith and Justice tells News 4 he was concerned when he saw the image.
We have a president who is wanting to compare himself to Jesus Christ, and he has a messianic complex, and he's the commander-in-chief of the most powerful and lethal military in the world. That's a dangerous thing that we have never seen before.
Meantime, Pope Leo says he'll continue to call for peace as the war in Iran stretches into its 7th week.
Now, Bishop Michael Burbidge, who leads the Catholic Diocese of Arlington, put out a statement saying in part, quote, I was disheartened by recent comments from President Trump concerning Pope Leo and the church. I pray that civility and respect are fully restored as together with God's grace, we work for peace and harmony among all people.
Now, you may recall in that video, there was an image of President Trump dressed in a way that caught a lot of people's attention. Some people thought he looked like Jesus, and honestly, a lot of others said the same thing.
This was the meme that Donald Trump posted, where he really trying to portray himself as Jesus.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's going through some very serious cancer treatment, so
yes, sir.
This goes a long way.
Yes, sir, it sure does.
But he said he was a doctor. Now, when I think of a doctor with a white coat and a stethoscope, something that clearly identifies that role, and that wasn't what we saw. Then he went on to speak to someone about her husband going through cancer treatment. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't fully understand what any of that meant in that moment. So I didn't want to just let that pass by without asking you guys, what did you see? What did you think? Who did you think he looked like to you? Because that's our bonus question. And I really want to hear your thoughts. And overall, I want to hear your thoughts on all the clips we shared today. We have more that we're going to be posting throughout the week. But for now, I want to leave you with this. We came together for 9/11, and we can come together for peace amongst each other. Love one another, care for one another, respect one another. It's more important now than ever, you guys, that we work towards peace. Not civil war, not a third world war, but a safe place for our families to grow and prosper. If you believe that being patriotic means loving people, let me know, because we coined something today, and I love what it stands for. J-O-A, J-O-A. That means just one America. Stop the division, stop the hatred, stop the prejudice, and just love one another. We are all Americans, and there is not one person more American than another. So stay in love, stay in peace, stay in harmony, Subscribe to the channel, like and share. And if you need any assistance, please don't forget to call us or email us. We're there for you, okay? I want you guys to be safe while you're out there. Let us know if there's something we can do. And always know we are there for you. When it comes down to anything happening, we stand together as one. JOA. Just one America. I love you guys. And listen, there's more coming on to bring back some things that happened in the past that we don't want to repeat again in the future. Love ya. Bye for now. When they came for the socialists, I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
We are undivided. We are one. Moving toward unity. Moving toward unity. Joe.
BibX Wealth Insurance Solutions.